Hello, my name is Jimin Lim, an artist from Seoul, Korea. Um, Last November, Raffaella suggested me about this art cafe. That was she visited to my trio exhibition, and that was our first face-to-face meeting. Despite my limited English, I accepted her offer because I knew well of her love and support for my work. Please bear with my English. I've practiced very diligently for this presentation, so let's begin. And unfortunately, I caught a cold, so my voice might not be very working well, but I'll do my best. So let's begin. The title of my presentation is My Life and My Art. This is the Cheongju Creative Studio where I live in 2021. I started my artist journey and in 2010, marking 14 years now. What should I share in this moment? My artwork is intertwined with my life, reflecting my experience and evolution of my thought. Today, I wish to share my origins of my work and how it have how it have involves my life experience and the current theme I'm exploring, focusing on my recent work. To speak about my artist beginnings of my work, I must mention my father. This is my dad. Isn't he very handsome? Eh. And this is his studio. He also an artist, and having grown up close to him, art was so natural part of my upbringings. But his illness and eventual passing through my senior year of college and profoundly impacted me, marking start as my artist journey. I established my first studio with some his belongings as seen in these photos. It's my first studio in 2010. My father often photographed our family. Reviewing these film photos in my studio, I felt compelled to paint these scenes. It's very familiar yet very stranger, capturing moments that could have never be revisited. I think the photographs showed of the gaze of being who is no longer with me, and I felt even stranger because I realized that it was a moment that I could never return to. This painting is titled Mrs. Song's Son. The title, this is the first portrait I worked on. The boy in this painting is my brother, and Mrs. Song uses the title in the painting is my mother. The title of the title was taken directly from my father's handwriting back of the photo. This piece holds great sentimental value to me and accompanying me through 12 studio moves. I continued to work on portraits like this from 2010 to 2015. As time passed, the emotion of grief, which was difficult to handle at first, and the feeling of mourning for one person changed in a different way. I will briefly show you how my works changed in after the portrait. After the portrait, I focus on where my eyes were drawn to in the whole image, and I start to cropped and paint the parts of the image that my eyes were drawn to. This process of crop painting continues for several years. And then after that, I worked on a series of masks where I put a mask on the face of children to express their anxiety. Mm. After that, I worked on a series of memory collage to combine a series of various pieces of memories in a single screen. Yes. In this way, my work has changed in a various ways. The materials I use in paintings is oil and charcoal. The photo you see now is my current studio. Here I worked on small and big oil painting and drawings on scraps materials. And since 2019, I have started charcoal drawing animations, producing one animation per year, totaling 4 to date. This is my animation working spot. My work was born out of the inspiration of losing someone dear, so I think I stuck in the past for a long time. Uh, in a way, my work was for me to survive. As I work, time continued to move forward, and the object of still with me bring me back to the present, and the painful memories are covered up by hours of work I put in, so I can get on with my day. So often, so often I think, what do I want to say with my works now? We tend to suppress our painful memories in our daily lives because they carry regret or self-reproach and ultimately sadness. However, those suppressed memories sometimes surge up unexpectedly when we face beautiful and tender moments, especially when we are reminded that these moments will eventually to leave us. The surge of emotion is like a flood of grief washing over us. My recent work, charcoal drawing animation titled Grief Comes in Waves, captures this concept. It's about 3 or 4 minutes long, and we, I think it will be great to watch it together. Okay, go ahead. Did everyone enjoy these animations? Thank you for watching with us. I briefly the synopsis of this animation tell. I tried to take a small and fragile leaves one by one and put them in my favorite notebook, but the leaves turn into the paper airplane and fly away. The paper airplane disappeared and became three birds, which flew away. I leaned and caught the flying birds with my hands, but in the end they transformed into luminescent light and departed. The light descended upon the sea and disappeared as a glittering pearl. And this photo is from my solo exhibition in Drawing Room Seoul in March and last year. I created this animation, a drawing, a single image frame by frame, and stitching it together to create it a movement. This animation was created a series of 500, 500 chakra drawings. I wanted to represent a situation where the sadness has been pent up, suddenly released in a wave without running. I thought about what we should do when we unexpected sadness. If a moment, painful or beautiful, inevitably brings some form of grief as time layers upon them, maybe it's the best to fully embrace and remember each moment. Perhaps then the grief will start to fade, allowing us to live in the present. So I'm currently working on my next animation by a conversation with my mom. This is a back view of mom and my dog Doldol. Very cute. Yes. Doldol has been with our family for 10 years. There is a video of mom walking off into the distance with my dog Doldol. The video is the source materials for the charcoal drawing animations I'm currently working on. I've always been particularly worried about my mom, especially my father passed away. One day she noticed about my concern and told me, "Don't worry about me, live as you wish, fly fully like a bird, go everywhere you desire." While we all wish for our loved ones to remain by our side forever, intellectually, we know if a better life awaits them elsewhere, it's okay for them to leave. However, emotionally, it's hard to accept. Once a fragile existence like a small bird to her mother, the young daughter has grown stronger and larger, and though she is encouraged to leave the nest, but the mother's heart was filled with countless thoughts and emotions. This conversation made me reflect on the life of my mother's, by extension, life of the woman's. I'm currently drawing this animation which will explore these themes. Please look forward to the completed animations. So, hmm. Still, I was thinking about the grief. I think the sadness is very closely related to love. The more you love something, the more sadness follows. When the object of my love doesn't love you back, or when it leaves you, or it's gone, or you never see it again, the sadness is keeps going like a snowball. I think that love is the emotions that comes to the forefront, and sadness is the emotion that sits in the back. We just don't want to face it. I try to keep facing this backside as I work because we face them at some point and they should never be covered up. Something that I care about, love and life, and holds it all together. These are three big keywords that my recent work. My recent works, my recent painting, not only do I represent a situation, but I also write down the message I want to convey in the painting, either metaphorically or directly. I'm also very inspired by books, especially poetry and essays. So I take a note of the words which resonate with me and as use them as inspirations or a part of the text in my paintings. Here are some of my recent paintings. This work is titled Misnumbered Answered. The title was inspired by a line from the poet Lee Byung-yul's poem Ripple. The last line of the poem reads, "The wrongly written answers will be thrown away in front of a poet's house." I think I have an answer sheet that I write in present, but I felt the answers were constantly being pushed aside because the anxiety, past or future, kept intervening. So I thought that if I gathered all of these answers together, what kind of story should I see? So I continued to work on a small scale canvas panel work, and 168 paintings were gathered on one wall. So my work is so completed. I've also been inspired by poetry. I also think about the message I want to convey and write it down in the painting. I'm going to show you some of my recent paintings in written text. This work is titled Our Stories. On this piece of paper, I wrote these words: "We cover each other's eyes, we cover each other's world." These are words I thought and wrote about my relationship of my people. I think there is someone I love. I will try to any wounds he gives me and any wounds he already has. I try to I made this painting hoping that it could continue our stories. And I'll show you a few more paintings with written text. This painting is titled I Left My Sorrow Behind. And this painting is titled Our Story Will Continue for a Long Time. This one is titled Go Far Away. And this one is titled I Wrote All New Letters. The text in the painting is all the same as the title. The message I want to convey in written in each painting, and I try to express the represent situations related to it in the paintings. Recently, I have been a lot of use hands, books, letters, etc. as materials to express the message I want to convey. Hands are my favorite materials to work with. The inspiration of using hand as working materials came from my childhood experiences. As a very short child, and my eyes were drawn to in their hands. So when adults were talking, I I realized I could see in their hands, in emotions that they didn't express outwardly, such as anxiety and nervousness and sadness. I still use hands a lot in my works today. I try to express various stories and emotions with my hands. Yeah. Even if I don't necessarily write, I sometimes use metaphorical representation of situations to convey the message I want to convey. This painting is titled You May Fly Away Now. And this one is titled Stay With Me a Little Longer. I'll briefly explain the story behind these two paintings. And first, this painting, a person with an airplane on his drawn on his hand is preparing to leave. And the person who puts a fingers on his pulse is someone who loves him. He worries about the other person's well-being until he leaves, but eventually he let go and saying it's okay to fly. And this painting, a picture of a small bird with an injured leg, which has been cared for and is now ready to be released, yet held a little longer due to lingering attachment, inspired the title Stay With Me a Little Longer. Bird and paper airplanes, which are also found in both painting, is two of my favorite subjects in my work. What we see now in both works, I wanted to express two things: how I want my loved ones to stay by my side and how I want them to fly away from me to for a better life. Now my stories were today to coming to an end. Very long time. Yeah. In a way, I feel like I'm trying to visualize invisible love. Through my work, perhaps I'm attempting to eternally remember the object of my love. Moving forward, I want to explore more sincere expression of their life stories through both paintings and charcoal drawing animations, experimenting with various forms of expressions. Yeah, this is end of my stories. Thank you for listening to my story.